Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to our Friday edition video, where today I'm going to be featuring the Tier 8 Japanese destroyer, the Akizuki. And we're here in Ranked on the map Trap in Domination mode. So the Akizuki is definitely, has been quite a fun destroyer for myself in playing. She has a lot of strengths, especially as she leans more to being a, well, gunboat destroyer. You only get one rack of torpedoes versus the two. But these 100mm guns are really strong. And looking at our pros on the WoW's Wiki, as quick turning as a pro, fast firing main battery. Yeah. Armor piercing rounds are punishable against broadside ships thanks to her rate of fire. Definitely true. I think you'll see us use that a little bit in the two videos I have for you today. Excellent HE penetration, even without the IHFE commander skill. Yeah, okay. Flat shell arcs in close combat means she will land consistent hits on enemy ships. Equips a torpedo reload booster. That reload reduces torpedo reload time to 5 seconds with a fast cooldown. Decent AA for the tier. I'm not sure. It's decent. It's not great or anything. Cons, HE shells have low damage and fire chance. Without taking any combat signals, they're 5%. Only one torpedo launcher on a long reload. Slow to accelerate and low top speed for a destroyer. Definitely true. It handles more like a cruiser than a destroyer. Large turning circle and slow rudder shift make Akizuki feel sluggish. And that's definitely true as well. The hull A you have on the Akizuki, her rudder shift time I think is like 7.8 seconds. And then something like the Tier 8 premium British destroyer, I think Caustic, is something like 2 or 3 second rudder shift time. So it's definitely a world difference there. I play Caustic and even the Kid a lot at Tier 8. And then if you upgrade to the hull B, for Akizuki, your rudder shift time will reduce down to 5.6 seconds. And that is actually really helpful. So you want to go for that hull upgrade first if you've just recently got the Akizuki and you're watching this video, or you're going to be grinding up that line soon. So the enemy team has an Asasio, and you can see I've just been detected. He's here on the cap in A, and so I'm going to push in, see if I can't find him here, and there he is. I don't have to worry about any torpedoes from him because he only has deep water torpedoes that can hit battleships and carriers. I don't think he can even hit cruisers, if I'm not mistaken, unless I'm getting him mixed up with a different destroyer. But he does have deep water torpedoes, so I don't have to worry about that. And I'm still getting a hit here and there, so I'm going to keep shooting. You can see the Alsace and the Odin to the north. They're both outside my gun range, even though the Alsace takes a blind shot, incapacitating my steering gears. And another reason why I want to continue to sit here is if he dumps deep water torpedoes towards my allies, they're just going to pass right underneath me, but at least I spot them. Those deep water torpedoes have a very good concealment, so you don't really see them till the last second because of them being deep water torpedoes. So I'm seeing what the French cruiser is doing. The Asasio has chosen death. Don't ask me why. I'm trying to ask for support to also fire upon him to kill him quickly, but I keep misclicking the commands. But we're going to keep focusing on the mid forward superstructure. He's going to get a little damage saturated in that mid section here at the end because I think this salvo should kill him, but it doesn't. So I followed up with one more. And then we're going to go ahead and smoke up because we have 2 battleships pushing into Bravo, and immediately my attention is shifted to them. Even when I'm in gunfights and I know I'm about to kill a target, I'm already looking at who is my next target going to be. I try to think 2 or 3 steps ahead when I'm playing the game with certain outcomes and things like that, because there's no way that the Asasio is going to win the gunfight with us in an Akizuki. Now, in this video, I have a 13-point build, the standard bread and butter build, as I'll call it, and you'll see what that is tomorrow in the Adrenaline Rush. The next video, which is a randoms battle I have for you, I go to 16-point build because I go ahead and pick up the IHFE, the inertia fuse, was it high explosive, something like that, because of the penetration capacity. So right now, these HE shells have a penetration capacity of 30 millimeters, okay? when you take IFHE, it will go from 30 to 37 millimeters. So that means you can penetrate most battleships and cruisers' bows, and other parts of the superstructure that might be coded 31, 32 millimeter. 32 millimeter is the standard. And so you'll see here, as I'm shooting this Odin, how many shells are not going to penetrate. It's greater than the shells that are penetrating. Because I'm trying to focus on a superstructure, not hit his front turrets. And then in the next video, I'll take IFHE, and you'll see how many more penetrations I get shooting a battleship versus non-penetrations, okay? So I've taken the cap. They just killed the Prince Rupert. And we're going to move along here. I have my two teammates sweeping the south of A, and they seem to be doing a good job. And I want to see if these torpedoes, maybe I'll get lucky and hit them on the Odin here. He does have hydroacoustic search, so he could just simply find the window. And, okay, he might not have had hydroacoustic search up. So now I'm going to kite away and shoot. I am within his secondary range, which you can see his secondaries from his front main turret, or above the front main turrets, which is firing. And now that I'm far enough off to his side, now his other secondaries are going to start kicking in. So if you want to torture a battleship and not have to deal with the secondaries, like open gun boating like I'm doing, you can just simply work to try to stay in front of the bow of the battleship, because most battleships don't have secondary turret mounted behind the two front main turrets. However, Odin does. So just keep that in mind if you want to do that in future reference. Here I'm just biding my time as my smoke's about to come up. We were using our engine boost. You see how I ducked that salvo a minute ago. I came to stop, then accelerated. And now we're going to go ahead and pop it. I think we've sacrificed enough of our health pool in dealing with this Odin here. So we did get a lot defended. We're preventing them from flipping Bravo. And now we're just going to simply reverse back. We've lost our Frederick de Grosse. Our Tago killed the Cherbourg, the new French Tier 8 heavy cruiser. And now we're switching to AP because this Odin is giving us nice broadside. He's burning. He's got the fire prevention. There's only one fire in the center part of his superstructure. And as he turns back into us, we're going to switch back to the high explosive. So this is something that Akizuki does really well. She's just sitting farming, if you will, because she has such a high volume with these these 4 turrets that have 2 guns in them each. So you're throwing 8 shells every, what is this, 2.7 seconds, it looks like, roughly, with the reload time I'm seeing on the screen. And that is really powerful. So here again, you can see what I'm talking about, how the IFHE would be really handy in this situation, because I'm getting a lot of non-penetrations. We do set a fire there on his stern, but the non-penetrations are still greater than the penetrations. So we're going to keep shooting him. I might switch to AP if I feel like he gets close enough here, because the AP can do a little bit more damage if he's, of course, just showing us enough side. But with the fire ticking down, we're just going to continue hammering him with our HE. So now it is 3 versus 1. And this, let's see, it's the Alsace who's left. And we'll see how he does here. He's probably going to step into Bravo and on the opposite side of the island. So he puts himself between me and torpedoes. That's what I would do if I was in his situation. But because he just fired, I'm not afraid to take a couple pop shots here. I want him to just kind of keep sailing on that course because I want to control the situation here. And I'll look to launch torpedoes if he's going to keep sailing straight. Sometimes players will do that. So we're going to see here in a moment. So because the island is low enough, I have the arc with my shells to be able to shoot my shells over. I'm trying to use the mini-map on the right, bottom right corner of the screen with the aiming reticle to try to get my aiming a little bit better lined up. You can see that as I draw closer though, with these mountains that kind of increase a little bit higher in height, I'm not going to be able to get my shots over them. So I go ahead and use the torpedo reload booster because I wanted to just use it and have it on hand in case he decides to come around the corner, like turn towards my direction. We have a teammate in chat saying that we need caps, which we honestly don't really need caps. We just need to pick up the kill here and not drag the game out. So I'm planning to go through and flank the Alsace. Now I'm waiting to see here, is he going to turn out to the right towards me and the Atago B behind me? Or is he just going to keep sailing towards the Massachusetts? He is smart. He pops a fighter plane, and he pops the fighter plane to see, what am I doing? So he is a smart fish. So I would do the same thing if it was in a situation. You pop a fighter because fighter will help give you eyes to see what's on the other side of the island in this type of situation. But he's close enough to the Massachusetts that the Massachusetts is probably going to be able to take down those fighters for me. So hopefully it won't ruin my surprise here. I do have my AA off. I keep it off even in a battle like this where there's no carrier, because there's players who can do this type of tactic that the Alsace used. So all he knows is I'm contesting the cap. He doesn't know if I'm on the opposite side, if I'm going to YOLO straight towards, but he's reversing. He's trying to get really tucked into this island here. I'm going to run around here. And I'm going to debate, maybe I want armor piercing, because with this close, my AP should do a lot of damage to a superstructure. Although he can have a decent amount of secondaries, of course, at this close of range. So we get detected here. And now we're going to go ahead and start shooting into the superstructure. We'll get the torps off, slightly lead. I'm imagining he's probably going to accelerate and turn. I'm not sure which direction he might turn. And I can leave the fire penalty range of using my main guns and kiting slightly away and using the smoke screen, so we don't eat a bunch of secondaries from the Alsace. So we get one torpedo hit, one flooding. He's accelerating forward. We pick up the high caliber, and as he comes out, the Atago is able to get the finishing salvo into his broadside. So this is a really good match. I had this match last night, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind. 601,000 credits, 100,000 damage, first blood, high caliber, 2 destroyed, 482 shell hits, and only set 3 fires. And I think I was running maybe 5.5%, maybe 6% fire chance. We're going to top the team with over 2,600 base experience, and here you can see the damage layout. I think of those shells we fired, I think over 300 were just on the Odin alone, so we definitely torched him. And an example of what it looks like with premium accounts. And then I picked up the IFHE when I went back to port, and then, IHFE, yeah, inertia fuse. And I divisioned up with 2 of my clanmates, being Doombeagle and Forgotten Void here, as we were on Crash Zone Alpha in domination mode. And we have some pretty strong, looks like some strong players to play against. We have a DD division of 2 ships, and then we have the Yukikaze divisioned up with the Implacable, and I'm seeing some strong clan tags there on the enemy team between the 007, PN, and then I think there's Amagi and AP, all notable clans. So we'll be mindful of that, and I have to be mindful of these this Destroyer division and seeing how they intend to set up here. My teammates are going to move up towards those islands a bit more, and I'm going to move in this direction. Our CV is providing some spotting coverage, so that's really nice to have here in this situation. So he's kind of, looks like he's almost on standby as we push into the cap here. So let's talk about the concealment on the Akizuki. The concealment I have on the Akizuki is 6.1 kilometers. It is not terrible, and it's not the best in game. I think you can get all the way down to 5.4 at tier 8. And then maybe as high as something closer to 7 kilometers with concealment on tier 7 destroyers. So we have to be mindful of how we pick our engagements. I am being detected here, so I think he's somewhere in the bottom corner there. And yes, there goes the smoke screen. And he's going to leave the cap. So you're going to find yourself often in these situations where it's likely impossible that an enemy destroyer is going to detect you before you detect him, okay? So that's kind of a risk you have when you're closing in on enemy destroyers who have better concealment than you. So you just have to keep that in mind. If they're wise, then they won't necessarily want to pick a gunfight with you, because that usually the better concealment destroyers are more torpedo focused, or they're hybrid focused. When I think of hybrid, I'm thinking of the Benson. Kosik is more of a gunboat. Then you have Kagero, that's going to be torpedo. Yakakaze, torpedo. Things like that. So we picked up the cap. I'm still waiting here. I'm trying to figure out what this destroyer is up to. So I just go ahead and decide to use widespread launch torpedoes. Maybe you can cause him to panic, make him leave the smoke, or, hoping I can get the torpedo hit here. So I have no need to necessarily just rush into the fray right now. I'm paying attention that there's a Bismarck in Kansas off and then to on the 9 line, F9. And then I'm seeing what this Hindenburg's doing down here in the cap. I know there's a destroyer, 2 destroyers down here. So we're just taking our time, seeing what's happened here. When you're a destroyer player, patience is a huge thing. It gives you a lot of information if you just take your time in being patient. So we're close in here. The smoke's dissipating, so I'm trying to see if I won't pick up an enemy destroyer here. And we did get detected here. And this is one of those uncomfortable situations where I'm detected, but I'm not detecting anything back. So I'm still going to push in. I'm going to use my engine boost. I want to close the distance as soon as possible. I'm keeping an eye on the Kansas Bismarck. Maybe they're going to take some shots at me. And it is a Sashio B. And here you can see a little bit more damage, I think, possibly with our IHFE on a destroyer when we do land our salvos. He doesn't have a smoke screen, so he's not going to be able to go dark. He makes the Cardinal sin of firing at me, and then deciding, oh wait, I didn't want to shoot. And now he's trying to run to the other smoke screen that is laid up before him. So we're going to keep shooting. With the engine boost still activated, I'm trying to do some acceleration jukes, deaccelerating. I decide, okay, now I need to smoke up as the Ognivoy pops up here. And we'll keep shooting at him. We're going to put out that fire. It's probably a little risky to put out fire since he was still taking a couple shots. And you can see still a lot of secondary volume fire coming in from the Bismarck, and maybe some shots from the Kansas. So this Ognivoy fired at me, and I think he thought he could go dark, but that is just not the case. He's not going to be able to go dark here. So he's reversing to try to get into his smoke screen, which he does. So we're going to fire off a few more shots, getting damage. There he is again. Okay, now he's about to go into the smoke screen. And the Amagi picks him off. So one less destroyer to deal with, just out of Sashio, so that's just really good stuff. Here I'm trying to see what the Bismarck's up to. I'm thinking he's maybe going to come up on the inside of the island here. So I go ahead and dump both fracks. I would say this is probably a mistake if I would have held on a few more seconds to that second torpedo rack. You can see that the Bismarck is continuing to turn. And you can simply pop up your torpedo lock-on and figure out, hey, which way is he going, if you want to get an idea. And on the mini-map, I can just tell, it looks like he's going to go that way. And there, if we use the torpedoes, just get an idea of which direction he was going. So we're going to move up a bit more here. The team only has a very slight, enemy team has a very slight lead over us. They just have, now they have 2 caps, so they're going to start picking up a larger point difference from us as time goes on. With my smoke on cooldown, I decide that it's worth the risk of going ahead and open up. Now watch how many more penetrations I get here on the Bismarck than I did on the Odin when I had no IHFE, okay? So he's guiding away, and you can already see that we have a considerable difference between our penetrations versus our non-penetrations. When the downside when you take IHFE is it cuts your fire burning chance in half, chance of setting fire, as I get a fire, from 5% to 2.5%. And 5% even isn't really huge in my mind. I'm seeing what the Sashio is doing behind me. He was using free look as we continued to fire. I want to see if he's going to start taking some shots at me or not. As my clanmate, Doom is rushing in, taking on the Bismarck. And we'll see how he does here. He succumbs to the fire that the Bismarck set on him. But the Bismarck is almost dead, and now I'm still within secondary range, so I'm going to accelerate away, maybe and get outside of that secondary range of the Bismarck. But he's very low, he's burning, so thinking we're going to be able to pick up a kill here, and we're going to turn out a little bit, and we get set on fire, so we're going to instant damage control party that. So now I'm trying to get my teammates to focus the Asasio. It looks like he's trying to rush the Alabama, and he dies. One of the things you have to keep in mind in situations like this is, because you guys know that I love carrier players, is how is the carrier player doing? You can get a lot of average carrier players, you can get some really bad ones, and then you get some really good ones. And this enemy carrier player is actually pretty good. He just smoked was it an Amagi off to my side here? And he's coming back, getting another strike off, and we know that Amagi does not have good AA. And this enemy CV player seems to be capable of thinking and breathing at the same time, and knowing which ships he should focus, and in 2 strikes, he brings that Implacable to a watery grave. So now I'm a little concerned. I'm trying to communicate to Void that Implacable is picking out solo targets that he feels like he can pick off very easily with his planes, and it's just me and him on this flank, so he could easily become the focus and attention of the enemy carrier, even though he still has almost full health. So we're going to swing down here. The Alabama is going down. You can see the CV player is indeed focusing on the low health target here, even though Alabama has the best torpedo belt protection at tier 8 among all tier 8 battleships. Of course, he's not immune to damage here. And indeed, he goes down to the Kansas. So we have 2 smoke screens still left. We have the engine boost. We're trying to close the distance, get into this cap even sooner. I'm talking with Void that, you know, if you're going to come into the cap, you need to or if I'm coming into the cap, I'm going to turn out and I'm going to go that way towards C. In this type of situation, the match is still up in the air. It can be anyone's game. I'm not really concerned that we're going to lose here, just that we have to play smart. You can see the Albemarle and the other Amagi teammate is low health, so I have a feeling that he's going to be focused by our the enemy CV player. I'm detected, and we get picked up. We pick up the Yukaze here, and even though he smoked up and went dark, we're gonna keep shooting. Okay, I'm pretty sure he's just reversing, and I'm like, is he gonna accelerate shoot? Is he gonna go forward? And we pick up the kill there. Okay, just because we can't see him doesn't mean we're gonna stop shooting in that scenario. Because he was low health, I need to get him killed. I don't want him getting torpedoes on Void or another teammate in the back, so he needs to go. So now we're focused on getting all of our guns going. I do turn my AA on. I'm hoping to help the Amagi player. When we're in a situation like this, I'm not afraid to turn my AA on. The CV's not focusing me, so we do shoot down 1 aircraft, and we are flipping the cap. So once we get this cap flipped, we're basically good. We just really need to focus on defense at this point in time. We do not need to go on the offensive because it's still a little dicey because of how low health our teammates are and the Amagi and the Albemarle. So here comes the Implacable. He's just dumping off some torpedo planes, so he'll have more to strike when he comes back. But instead of having our AA off, we're trying to help out our teammates here. You know, it's decent AA on the Akizuki. It's not great, it's not fantastic, but we're still going to try to help out as much as we can. We almost had the Italian battleship, the Littorio, Azure Lane Italio, but he got away with hardly any health, so I would really like to pick up the kill on him here. And so we're going to push in a bit more. Now, I was telling Void that he's showing broadside to Amagi. He probably needs to hang back, and he's going to get slapped by the Amagi because, as you know, we've been playing the Amagi, and those guns do hit hard, and they can be somewhat accurate. So he's unfortunately going to lose some health, and the Implacable is coming in. I decided to go ahead and turn on my AA. I actually want him to see if he'll drop me instead of Void here, because I think I can avoid his attack, and indeed we do, because I want to take attention off of him. So that was actually a successful ploy there. But now he's coming back with rocket planes, so we turn our AA off immediately. Trying to see the situation here, and that I still really want to pick off this Littorio, if possible. We go ahead and turn our AA back on. We pick up 2 planes right there. We're prioritizing our AA sector. 3 planes. And of course, Void's AA on North Carolina is going to be doing a lot of work here as well. So we might just be picking off some of the leftovers here. So because the Implacable is so close, the attack time between his flights is really short. Unfortunately for us, that he's not down somewhere in J1. So I feel like I'm talking a lot about the carrier player, but this is, I think I'm talking about so much because it's important here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and dump torpedoes at this Littorio. When we're going to pop the torpedo reload booster, I want to dump off another 4 torpedoes, so we're going to have 8 in total. Because I'm pretty sure this Littorio is going to just be turning in more towards us. And with how things are going, we're probably going to be popping our last smokescreen as well. And unfortunately, we lose Void 2 torpedoes. So we're going to turn on the AA. We are going to accelerate forward, but then I turn off the AA. Sometimes carrier players will still try to strike you when you're in the smoke, like there. And now that I can see the planes, I can turn my AA back on if I wanted to. But we're going to sit here, see if our torpedoes, we get a hit and a flooding, and that's going to be enough to kill him. So now this is the type of situation where I tell a team, just play defense, don't come any closer. Basically, the carrier player is the worst thing that could happen to us right now, okay? So I'm going to turn the AA on, see if I can't pick off, get some damage on these planes, and again, hoping I can help my teammates. I'm going to turn the AA off, and we're going to leave. I don't want to be this close to the enemy carrier. We still have the other enemy Amagi up to the C4. So this is not over yet, even though we have almost a 100-point lead, okay? Here I'm able to use some concealment between my smoke and the island and try to see maybe we can get a little chip damage here on Kansas. Maybe set a fire, we'll see. The Implacable picks off our Amagi, so now we're actually slightly behind on points, but we'll make up that difference here in a minute. The threat we have is this Amagi in the back. The CV is focusing on attacking the Kansas and the Implacable. Those are like kind of 2 AA fortresses, if you will. So he really needs to be focusing on the Amagi in the back. That is where the threat is, okay? So we're going to move up here. We have the HE loaded. Amagi picks off the Albemarle. We're behind on points once again. We have our AA off, and we're coming up here. I'm pretty sure the Implacable should be able to finish off this Amagi with 1 strike. We've watched the enemy Implacable do that to our Amagis, and indeed he does get the kill. So we have the points advantage once again, and we just need to run. Now, one of the things is I'm going to circle back slightly, but I'm going to do so in the coverage of the island. That's to my left in the direction I'm running. So the island at D6. Because I want to be able to reset them if I'm going to be on standby. Because if they sail into the cap, that's going to be issues for us. And maybe if they even picked up a kill somehow, they could still win at this point, okay? It's not over. We do get fighters that our CV drops on us, so that is an epic, really good move of him to do here. I'm still going to run around with my AA off, and because we have the fighters, he's going to dump fighters too. He's going to see if he can't pick off, take away the enemy fighters here. But we're going to prioritize our AA. We picked up 3, 4, 5 planes. I'm not sure how many of those were actually fighters we were picking off as well. Seems to be it was a lot of the fighters because there's no more enemy fighters on the minimap, and we still have fighter coverage over us, okay? So that's good for us. Now, the Implacable thinks that I'm still running away, but if you look on the minimap, I picked up, oh, the Implacable CV. He just was moving up to Bravo, okay? So he wants to step on the cap. He wants to impede our progress. The score timer is not working again for some reason, unfortunately, so I can't get a really good idea of how the match might end if they step on B and take it. So I let my CV ally know that, hey, Implacable is moving up, and I try to give him some encouragement to stay behind an island. I think I already typed that in chat, I'm not sure. And he's going to come through, and he's going to dump fighters over me again, which is just fantastic, okay? But we have our AA turned off again. So if you're wondering how you turn your AA off, you just press the P key. That is the default key. And you can even set up an additional key, so I have a key on my mouse to turn AA off and on as well. So the Implacable is indeed sailing up this way. We have our AA off. The CV player does not know we have circled back to deal with the threat of the Kansas and him moving up. And just because he stepped on the cap doesn't mean I'm going to start shooting. No, 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 no. We're going to use the torpedoes, and we're going to use our last available consumable here, being our torpedo reload booster, because he's likely using the mini-map, and he's sailing in a straight line. So we want to get these torpedoes off as soon as possible, because it's likely once we get one hit on him, he'll take control of the CV and try to turn it, okay? So here's a few things I've done. I decided I need to defend the cap, I need to get resets, and then I said, okay, what about my exit plan? I can use this island. I don't have any more smoke screens, right? So all I have to do is just accelerate forward, and I'm dark and cover behind the island, and Implacable secondaries or Kansas is not able to hit us. So I'm hoping we get 2 torpedoes here. We had one just to miss, so we're going to go ahead and open up, and we're going to start laying into him. If he was broadside, I would definitely be using the AP here, but he's not. He sends up fighters because he knows where we are. I'm paying attention to what the Kansas is doing. He fired at my ally's CV, and we're going to accelerate forward because we're about to hit 1,000 points. And now I'm going to take a little chip damage here. If my health was any lower than this, I would have sort of stayed dark. I wouldn't have revealed myself for shooting. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to blow the horn in victory, even though, unfortunately, we don't get to kill the CV player here in this instance. So I hope this gives you a good idea of how playing the Akizuki. We're going to almost get 500,000 credits, 10,700 experience, 2,283 free XP, 319 shell hits with 115,000 damage, 3 destroyed, some set on fires, and we did a decent amount of damage on the planes, and we got 2 solo caps along with some defended ribbons. So we're going to switch into the team score. We're going to top the team again with over 2,800 base experience, and I gave some compliments to the Albemarle and Implacable. I think I did, because they did good, and especially the RCV player staying behind an island at the end because I didn't want him getting death struck by the Kansas if he showed himself. That would have made the game winning a lot harder. Here you can see the damage layouts. And yeah, you can see we definitely picked on all 3 of the enemy destroyers. We killed one who had the low health there in Bravo cap. And then going into the credits and experience, you can see what we picked up with premium account and a few XP modifiers and credit modifiers we had as well. So tomorrow we'll do an upgrade and commander build on the Akizuki, so I hope you'll stick around and you'll catch us as we look at the modules, the upgrades, consumables, and the commander, most importantly here. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.